Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. I'm your host, Sean. So, in my travels today on the internet, when I was thinking about what we were going to talk about for this podcast, something we've covered before, that gun control should be a past thing, right? What's interesting is even though the ATF is past or is trying to redefine what a receiver is, let's call it, say it, what it really is, okay? It's backdoor gun control. But in that, with all that's going on, they keep missing one key innovation that keeps changing, that is going to change every industry in the world, and that's 3D printing. Now, it's been around for a long time now, but it has continually improved, and so are the materials that they are now using. So much so that there is now an online file for a fully 3D printed frame for a Beretta 92. Now, that doesn't sound like a big deal, but that is a really big deal, because the gun of the frame of the Beretta 92 has always historically been metal, and that it usually has wear items that would cause the gun frame to actually wear out more. So what this means is that someone has found a way to print them, either with a metal forge or with a 3D polymer print. Either way, it's saying that the material science is getting to the point where you're getting to be able to print items that can be made into a weapon, or the weapon made directly from it instantly. You can already make stabbing instruments from 3D printed stuff if you wanted to. And I'm not demonizing 3D printing. I think it's innovative, and I think it's the best thing that ever happened, because it tells the powers that be, the state, that they will never, ever get ahead of guns being out on in the world. Now, I've mentioned the video before from Palmetto State Armory's site about the founder of Palmetto State Armory, where he says he's trying to maximize freedom, spread it everywhere in the United States. And that's what we want to do in the Black Rifle Operators Union. We want to make sure that we keep our country tactical. So in that same vein, there is an online file now that is about to drop, and I saw prototypes of it for an AR, a 9mm AR upper. Now this contains the explodey bits. They're going to make a frame and upper for a 9mm to where it's just going to need the bolt carrier group and the barrel, is what it's looking like. Now, for home builders, this is awesome. For criminals, if they're masterminds and smart, or know people that are really smart that can do this and have access to this type of technology, you're not going to just... There's some technical chops you need before you can even start 3D printing. Okay, you've seen the Liberator pistol, possibly, where it's a Derringer pistol. It was the first, almost, I think it was 90% or 99% 3D printed. The only thing that wasn't was the actual firing pin. Well, it would last one shot, because back then the polymers wouldn't get there. Nowadays, the polymers actually could handle some of these pressures that they're starting to get to. But what makes it even more interesting, what I'm talking about technology-wise, your PC first has to be able to handle the software to do the renderings, the tool work you're going to have to do digitally to render this object you're going to print. Second, you're going to need to have a printer with enough resolution to be able to print these without having to modify them more than just the print, meaning that the print quality has to be great without any slag or swag or the little drips or anything from the older style printers, because those ones you'd have to like mill off or sand off or cut off that flashing. Well, 3D printing has gotten way better. They don't need to do that necessarily, but you need the computer, the software, the device, the printer. Then you have to have the knowledge. Now, every idiot I know in the IT space thinks that there's some badass dude that can just get on a computer and start rendering 3D objects. And some can. I, however, can't. My kid's mother, however, runs a makerspace. And that lady can render anything. So what I see happening is, as this becomes a more accepted media, something that's in everybody's house. Everybody has a printer, I'm pretty sure, or did. They may need ink cartridges because they always dry out, right? Or you need them, you print too much and then you need new ink cartridges. Endless cycle, right? Same thing with plastic, with 3D printing. When you know you can manufacture something, you're just going to manufacture what you need right there. Now, some people are like making cool keepsakes and a lot of interesting, innovative new stuff. But what's getting my interest in the 2A world is the more draconian the government gets. We've already seen polymer lowers for AR-15s that function and work. Now, this already terrified the ATF. But if you cannot get rid of these files because they are protected speech, you cannot get rid of the printers because they're useful beyond measure, there is going to be a point in time that there is nothing that the ATF can regulate or the FBI can, because they are spreading freedom. Everybody has access to it, and every society, people get mad when I say this, but this is true. If you look at when societies break down throughout history, there's usually a disarmament push right before they break down by the government or the state. Then the people rebel and have to sort and find arms. Look at Ukraine. Ukraine is a prime example. And the leftists keep saying, well, yeah, that just means we would hold the weapons, the government would, and they would just hand them out when you need them. What they don't think about with that is that they had to go through that step to begin with. In the United States, the whole idea was that you would not be able to take away our arms so that we would never have to worry about having enough quote-unquote militia to stop an invading force. In addition to the invading force, it was also envisioned that if our government ever became so corrupt that we would have to take our country back. So anyone that keeps saying that the Second Amendment doesn't have any place nowadays, especially in a civilized society, doesn't realize how much of society was built off the backs of people that were willing to perpetrate violence to get the society they live in. For all the people that bastardize colonization and bastardize our forefathers and say all the bad stuff about them, these people wouldn't have a voice, wouldn't have any of the rights they have. They wouldn't be alive if what had happened in our history hadn't happened. Good, bad, or other, it doesn't matter. History should be taught exactly as it happened. It shouldn't be sugar-coated. The United States is not without its warts, but I can tell you, having seen what's going on in the rest of the world, it's probably one of the best. I think it's the best damn country on planet Earth. But back to the 3D printing thing. I think this is where gun tech is going to go. More and more, you've seen, I mentioned the marijuana legalization stuff and how they just kind of snuck along on the edges, and then next thing we know, there's dispensaries everywhere now, especially in the Southwest. And this is becoming more and more of a thing in the United States. So, not saying to be reckless or to say to be criminal, but that's how we get around the BS that the state is trying to push down on us. And I don't mean just New Mexico, I mean the federal state, the government. Just wait. I'm still waiting to see. There's also, and I mentioned it once before, and I see a lot of these guns on print, shoot, repeat. That is a guy you can find on YouTube, and you can also find him on Twitter. And Iraq Vet 8888 today was showing off the AR-9 that's going to have a printed, 3D printed upper of some kind. So, it's becoming mainstream. People are seeing it everywhere. And with that, what is going to happen is they're never going to be able to stop the production of firearms. The 3D print, shoot, repeat, the one gun I trailed off and forgot to tell you about, I've mentioned it before, is they have a MP5 that they're almost to the point of releasing the files, if they aren't backdoored already to some people. When they release that file, I'd like to build one of these for proof of concept, and because it would be amazing just to have an MP5. It's one of those guns I have always wanted, but the fact that this is one I could manufacture 100% by myself is even more exciting. I can do the flats. I need to buy the jigs, but I know I could do that. I've seen how to do it. I would have to learn how to weld too, and that's something I don't know how to do yet. But I have a son that's willing to teach me now, and who's supposed to be one hell of a welder. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, be great, and let's keep New Mexico tactical. Let's keep our country tactical.